Dr. EnRico Melson, a medical physician and healer of many disciplines. He's a member of the Transformational Leadership Council, a global council of many of the world's thought leaders. He's a multi-credentialed medical doctor with deep understanding of Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, Hawaiian Huna, shamanism, resonance, information technologies, and higher consciousness systems. I'm privileged to interview this master teacher right here in Palmerston North, 23rd of October 2010. Dr. EnRico teaches that all healing is self-healing and all existence begins with identity. He guides us to become more aware of ourselves on many different levels in order to cleanse, strengthen and improve our quality of life and self-realization. He is the creator of the Integral Awareness Medicine I Am system and the Aspect system of awareness systems providing energetic core transformation. They're both innovative healing systems developed that have been taught and practiced all over the world by Dr. Melson. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, it's really interesting, you use this term integral a lot. So I'd really like you to explain what it means to be integral and integral awareness.
Fair enough. Yes, it is a term that has come into more popularity in the past 5-6 years or so. It has been around in terms of professional use for a few decades. However, it's really picking up steam, so to speak, as we come to understand that integral represents an advancement over what we would term integrative. Integral is where we begin to experience things that come from multiple sources or multiple directions or multiple disciplines, and they come into a more unified type of coexistence and melding of one into another, into another, into another. That is, as I say, more advanced than what we called integrative before, where we begin to understand that for example, something which is coming from a certain discipline, a certain origin, to become integral with other elements or corresponding disciplines and origins, it begins to take on many of the other characteristics of those other types. And something from yet another field takes on also much of the knowledge or much of the substance and the characteristics of the other fields. So in a way, it's as if we're saying that things that come from multiple disparate origins now come into a common similarity of one with the other, a common way of experiencing all of the different components within each of the components, so that there is no more separation. That is one of the major aspects in terms of what integral is and how that is different from integrative. There's another important aspect of integral, and when we look at some of the other systems that have been called integral over the years and that have become very influential systems in how we think and practice today in the world, what we see is that there is a systematic way of examining things, of organizing things, an integral perspective or an integral operating system, for example, that Dr. Ken Wilber refers to out of the Integral Institute in Colorado of the United States, represents a structure. It's a structural approach at looking at things and being able to see what is a completeness of how practically any separate, individuated practice, system, whatever you may want to call it, can be examined, it can be understood from what we call an integral perspective. An integral perspective is therefore a way of seeing things from wholeness. It is quite different from seeing things from separation. Seeing things from separation means we begin by looking at something and trying to examine it onto itself and understand as much as we can about that within the context of separation, within the context of this is something that is unique, this is something that is quite different. What is unique about it? From an integral perspective, what we are really doing is we're looking at things with a set of tools that represents a more complete way of viewing whatever this thing is. Viewing it and being able to see how it relates to everything else around it, anything else, everything else, ultimately within the environment. So the integral operating system, or the integral perspective, is itself something then that represents a different orientation to how things are. When we're talking about dealing with people, patients, clients, customers, partners, from an integral construct, we're talking about seeing them as whole beings. This is what gets us into the question regarding integral awareness. If I am to have integral awareness, for example, of another person, that integral awareness then requires that I be willing to perceive, to open myself to the wholeness of this person's being. Not just to the way they look on the surface or the way they seem to be acting, or not just in a sort of literal sense of what it is that they are saying to me, or in a sense of just an emotional connection. That an integral awareness position or posture that I take with respect to another person begins firstly with my opening myself to the wholeness of them. In order to open myself to the wholeness of them, I myself must be open as the wholeness of me to them. Therefore, integral awareness is itself a process by which people engage in a level of intimacy where there is what we can come to even experience and measure in many different ways as an alignment of spirit, an alignment of the energy self, an alignment of the mental bodies, an alignment of the emotional bodies, an alignment of the communication that takes place. That integral awareness therefore becomes the manner in which we can carry forth ourselves into the world. We can conduct our lives, our life affairs, our relationships, our healing work if we are engaged in healing work, our business transactions if that is what we are engaged in, and of course our exploration of the world in general. When we take this approach of integral awareness, it is also then an approach that accelerates for us. It accelerates this learning, this discovery process. I mean, it's amazing because when we talk about ancient systems, when we talk about people, the people who talk to the trees, people who can somehow connect with the clouds and with weather and pray to the heavens or pray to nature and receive responses. When we talk about people who have these innate abilities, these uncanny talents such as the horse whisperer, the animal communicator, people who receive information from so many other ways that are so powerful and seemingly supernatural. Actually, what they are experiencing is a version, an aspect of integral awareness. They are integrous with something else, be it their environment or another being within their environment. Being in that state of integrous connection, that state of awareness, therefore, becomes wholeness, becomes a sense of oneness. And as a result of that, there's experience of so much more information that transfers. And as they're doing that, it's amazing, and miracles happen.